Now, we're all familiar with adjustable drivers and how they can optimize your launch conditions for every swing, but what about transferring that to other clubs in your bag? So far, we haven't really seen it a great deal. PXG have dabbled a little bit with their precision weighting, but there's a new kid on the block in the category of adjustable irons, and it's from Edel Golf. This is their new SMS iron. SMS stands for swing match system. We've seen it with their wedges, and now they've transferred it into their irons. And I'm really curious to see exactly what adjustable weighting in irons can do for my dispersion, because I do struggle with my accuracy on my iron shots, and Edel say that this concept should enhance your club face control. It should, they say, also give you a little bit more distance if you get the weight in the right place. So I'm curious to find out exactly if that works or not. We're at the beautiful 9th hole here at Burghley Park Golf Club. I'm going to hit some shots on the launch monitor to give me some numbers and also obviously assess the ball flight that we get in those 3 positions. So let's get onto the tee, hit some shots and see how it performs. So before I hit some shots, my first impressions with this Edel SMS iron, although it's actually a really nice looking club. It's a little bit bulky, kind of front to back. It's relatively thick. Obviously got to house those 3 different weights, so that's understandable. But this is a player's distance iron. It's actually hollow in construction, so it's filled with foam inside the head, dampen the vibrations, give you a softer feel. But it's a forged head. It looks really nice, and it has a 7-iron loft of 32 degrees. So relatively traditional in that player's distance iron category. I'm going to hit some shots here. Got a flag 170 yards away into the wind, so it's probably going to be a little bit too tough for us to get shots all the way back to the flag on a day like today. But what we're really looking at is the distance we're getting on the full swing kit launch monitor, which I've got set up down here, and then also obviously observing the ball flight in those 3 different weight positions. So I've got the weight in the middle first of all. Let's hit some shots. Got Titleist Pro 1 X golf balls. Hit 3 balls with each, and we'll see how the performance compares in those 3 different weight positions. Not a bad one to start. Slight draw there in that with the weight in the middle. First impressions down at address, actually, it's quite a nice looking club. It's relatively compact, but that kind of still manages to frame the ball really well. There's a hint of offset there. The top line's quite thick compared to most players' distance irons. Not everyone will like that, but actually it kind of strikes a good balance of being quite inviting to hit without looking too chunky overall. So I'd say looks wise, it ticks the boxes. From a feel perspective, that first shot doesn't feel as springy off the face as a lot of players' distance irons. Actually felt quite hard and harsh. So maybe from a feel perspective, the foam isn't quite doing the job it's supposed to be doing. Doesn't feel overly soft. We're going to hit a few more balls, as I said, 3 with each in those weight positions, and then we'll compare the performance. Okay, so I've finished my exhaustive testing of this Edel SMS iron, and there's a few findings that I'd like to share with you in this verdict. The first being that actually, as I went through the testing and started to hit more solid shots, the feel of this club really improved. So yes, it does feel a little bit hard, but actually it feels quite solid off the face, and I actually really enjoyed the feel by the end of the testing session. That said, it didn't quite give me the ball speed or distance that I was maybe expecting from an iron of this size and of this loft. So for comparison, I did on another day test this iron up against the new Mizuno Pro 223, which has the same 7-iron loft as this one at 32 degrees. And that club was going around about 5 yards longer on average, and it is slightly smaller. So that kind of just goes to show that maybe you are sacrificing a little bit of distance with this club, designed with the adjustable weighting versus a more traditional club of the same loft. But that said, it was interesting for me to see the different performance characteristics through the weight setting. So the first observation would be that actually, even though Edel say you might get a bit more distance in your optimal setting, for me, looking at the full swing kit launch monitor numbers, which I'll flash up on the screen now, the distances in each of the settings were pretty much exactly the same. I was bang on about 160 yards in all 3 settings. So I didn't really see an adjustment in the distance there. So one key takeaway would be that actually how much the spin changed in 3 of those different weight settings. So starting with the heavier weight in the heel position, the spin was quite high, around 6-7, and then moving into the middle, it came down to about 6-4 4, I think, and then it came down even further with the heavier weight in the toe, and there's some quite significant differences in spin there, which I wasn't really expecting. So that's something obviously to bear in mind if you're going through a fitting process. The spin profile does change with those different weight settings. And then the big difference I would say would be the ball flight. That's kind of the one thing we're looking at or expecting with this change in the weight positions. Is it altering the ball flight? And I would say absolutely yes, it is. Starting with the weight in the middle, it was kind of pretty neutral for me. A soft draw is what I normally expect to see with a 7 iron, and that's what I was getting with this club. And then when I moved it into the toe, that definitely changed to a straight shot or a slight fade, which is definitely something that I want to see as a player that tends to miss left quite a lot. If I can start the ball at the pin, slightly left of the pin, and know that it's going to bleed back, that's an ideal ball flight for me. So I was really impressed to see that in that Edel 7 iron. We're not talking massive difference, but it was probably a good 2 to 3 yards more to the right versus with the weight in the middle. And then finally, when I moved the weight into the heel, what was interesting is that the dispersion was a lot wider. So it didn't necessarily draw more than the other. It probably did draw a little bit, but actually I was missing more shots to the right, more shots to the left. Dispersion was a lot more erratic. And I think that just goes down to the fact that my general strike pattern with an iron is centered, is slightly towards the toe. So you've got more of a difference there between where the weight is and where the strike is, and therefore the gear effect is going to be greater. So I think that definitely contributed to a wider dispersion pattern with the weight in the heel. So for me, obviously the optimum setting would probably be in the toe. Was expecting to get a little bit more distance out of the toe weight setting because it felt a bit more solid out of there, but obviously the launch monitor suggested that it was pretty consistent across those 3 different settings. And what I like about that toe weight setting is that you can still draw it if you want to. It's not like you're only limited to playing a fade if you do move that heavier weight into the toe. So you've got the ability to draw it if you need to. You can get custom weights through a fitting with Edel, so you can have 4 or 10 grams depending on what you want. If you go through that process, you can really dial it in. But I've been very surprised by the impact of this adjustable weight technology within an iron. I think it's definitely going to help people control the direction of their golf shots a little bit more easily. This iron comes in at $250 a club, so it's quite a premium product, but you're not going to get many irons that offer this kind of precision adjustability with your dispersion pattern. So it's definitely worth trying. If you struggle with your accuracy on your iron shots, if you want to hit more greens, if iron play is your weakness, something like this concept could definitely have a positive impact on your iron play. So there's undoubtedly some merit in the concept of moving a weight around in the head, and obviously if you go through an iron fitting process, you're able to change the dispersion and the shot pattern by adjusting lie angle and the shaft profile of the iron. But I think moving the weight around inside the head, like we've seen with this Edel SMS iron, has a bit more of an impact potentially on the dispersion of your shots and kind of reducing or increasing the gear effect that you get on the strikes, and depending on where you hit the face. So a lot of merit to the concept, and I've really enjoyed testing it out today. So that concludes our look at the Edel SMS iron. If you like the video, make sure you click the like button. Do subscribe to the Golf Monthly YouTube channel so you don't miss any of our equipment review videos. But from me, from Burghley Park Golf Club, it's goodbye, and I'll see you next time.